beautiful friends. I almost just said it's a bins day because that's how I usually start my videos. Most of my videos are about thrifting at the Goodwill outlet bins so that I can resell that stuff on eBay and Poshmark. But today's video is a little bit different. In celebration of the channel gaining 10,000 subscribers, I am doing a Q&A for 10K, a question and answer. So I have your questions here. I put out a post on YouTube about 6 weeks ago asking what your questions are. So I'll be answering some reseller related questions. So hopefully you will learn something here today. There's a few personal questions. So hopefully you'll learn a little bit more about me today. And I hope you enjoy this video. And I just want to say thank you for helping this channel to reach 10,000 subscribers. That just blows me away. It has been a long, slow haul for me. And I appreciate you so much. This channel would be nothing without you. It's all about you. So I really do appreciate you being here. Let's dive into these questions. This first question comes from Gwendo's World 4571. I hope I say these names right. I'll do my best. And she says, well, she has a bunch of questions here. I did not plan for any of these questions. We're just gonna wing it. Let's see, she has a bunch of questions, so let me see which one. She says, how do you handle flawed items? Do you list or donate back? If you list, what is your threshold? That is a very good question. Firstly, I try very hard to do good quality control. So when I'm at the thrift store, I want to check common areas of concern on an item. So I want to make sure there's no buttons missing, that the zipper works. I look under the armpits. I look in the gusset or crotch area of pants or the seat, areas that are common to have pilling, holes, stains, wear, missing buttons or something. I try to look for that. But still, I think we all bring home flawed items sometimes. The first thing I'm going to do is wash it and stain treat it and try and get the flaw out. I will repair an item only if it's very high value. So to sew up a hole or put on a new button, for me, that's not my skill set. I'm kind of slow. I don't enjoy it. So those items I will just donate back. If it's got a flaw and it's not worth a lot of money, I will donate it back. If it's a designer item or a high dollar item, I'm gonna sell it anyway, and I work extremely hard to note all those flaws. I take pictures of it, usually with my little finger pointing to whatever the flaw is. I will write it in the description, sometimes even in the title. My fear is that I'll send someone a flawed item and they will have not read the description because, as we all know, buyers don't always read and look at all the photos. That is very rare. I've been selling over 12 years. That's probably only happened a couple of times. So if it's a higher dollar item, I will take the time to repair it and stain treat it and everything else. If not, I'll probably just donate it. What do you do? I would love to get your opinions and answers to these questions in the comments. Let's see. Roxy Reruns. I love you, Roxy. Roxy was one of my first subscribers. She has been a friend of the channel since the very beginning, and I really do appreciate that. She's a nurse practitioner. What would you have done differently when it comes to starting reselling? In other words, what is the one thing you know now to be true about reselling that you wish you have known when you first started? That is such a good question. Oh my gosh. I think the number one thing that comes up for me in that is an inventory system. Systems in general, starting with good habits and good systems, huge, huge. I think people don't talk about that enough. My inventory system, I started out, this is before I watched YouTube and had anybody's advice to follow, and so I would just put everything in a bin that said women's tops. And then as my business grew, it would be women's top size small, medium, large, plus size. And then as it's grown even more, I have 2,300 items at the time of this filming. And then it's okay, now I'm gonna do women's size small, tops, printed, dark, light. That's not the best system. I think there are all these great systems now where people organize things by the date they listed it, or they give everything an inventory number and they put it in the right bin using the inventory number. I think that that is smarter, and I wished I started something like that sooner. I still do the old school method. It mostly works well for me. Every once in a while, I will have a hard time finding an item, but in general, it works pretty good, but I wouldn't do it that way. The other thing, like I said, is systems. I spent a lot of time last year cleaning up my systems, like my photography area, making sure everything is very close together. I wheel my rack right over to my photo station now. I put things on a hanger instead of a mannequin because that's faster. I then turn to my table and I take photos of the measurements rather than doing that again at a separate time. Things like that that can make me more efficient and faster means I can list more. At the time of this filming, which is in the spring summer of 2024, I'm listing 10 items a day every day, and 2024 is my best, most profitable year selling on eBay and Poshmark. I don't know if this is a question coming up, but I don't mind sharing because I'm quite proud of it and I've worked hard for it. But just for me as a single reseller, meaning I don't have staff, I don't outsource any of the work, I do it all myself. I'm a one-woman show and I'm part-time. I have another job as a psychotherapist. I made $50,000 in sales, a little bit more than $50,000 in sales on eBay and Poshmark last year. Now you have to deduct all the things, the cost of your items, the cost of goods, eBay fees, shipping costs. But even with that said, it's more money than I've made reselling and all the time I've been reselling. And I attribute that to listing every day. And so eBay knows what I'm going to do and what traffic to send to my store and really cleaning up my processes. I have a video called How I List 10 Items a Day Every Day, outlining my process. And I really believe that that has been the key to making more money this year. Friends, I'm doing my shipping, so I thought I would interrupt the video just for a moment to talk to you about where I'm getting my shipping supplies, my poly mailers, and my bubble mailers. I'm getting them from Gyro. I'll put a link in the description that'll have a discount for you, but they have a ton of different colors. I'm loving this purple one right now. I usually get the 10 by 13 because I ship mostly clothing, but I did get the hot pink in a 12 by 15, and that's been helping with like bigger items and some linens I've sold. I chose this hot pink and the turquoise because these are the Grateful Queen online reseller brand colors, so that was really fun. I think I have some padded ones. Do I have them up here? I also can get padded bubble mailers from them. I've tried a lot of mailers over the years. I've ordered some cheap ones on Amazon and the quality just wasn't there. But with these, the quality is good. The sticky part's good. Their prices are really good. And they have a lot of selection. So definitely check them out. I'll put a link right in the description where you can go over there and take a look at all the different shipping supplies they have and choose some fun colors and good sizes and things that work for your business. But I don't know, it just adds a little bit more joy when I'm doing my shipping to put it in a fun colored poly mailer. So go ahead and check out Gyro. Here. Let's see. Okay, Danny 1066 says all sorts of sweet things. Thank you all for the sweet things, but I'm going to get right to the question, which is, my question is, how do you know when an item is truly vintage or not? I'm not a vintage expert. I'm not really even considering myself a vintage seller. Since I shop at the bins and my cost of goods is pretty low, I can experiment, and I have been doing that more this year, and I have been selling vintage, and I love it, I'll have to say. So I'm not an expert. I'll just tell you what I know. What I know is a lot of it is the tag. You look at the name brand tag, and there are certain tags, the way the font is, that you can tell that it's a vintage item. So example for t-shirts, an example of that would be like the Hanes Beefy Tee tag. I know that that is a certain date. So really learning the tag. So what I would do is if you looked at an item and it looked a little bit more vintage to you, just take a picture of it and Google Lens it or search for it on eBay. That's sort of how I learned. Like with vintage t-shirts, I just kept looking up the tag. And you can look on Google and go, Hanes Beefy Tee tag, what year was that? And it'll tell you like 80s, 90s is when they use that particular font, that particular color on the tag. With t-shirts, you can also look for a single stitch instead of a double stitch on the hem of the shirt sleeve. When I sell vintage lingerie and things, I look for the union made tag. So I think tags are key, and allow yourself to learn by looking things up, I would say. And again, I'm not an expert on that, but I have been having a lot of fun with it. Let's see what Cindy Gallagher, who has a very similar name to me, says, question for your Q&A. I'm sure you get this a lot, but how much cleaning do you do on items you find? I don't do as much as I used to. I have learned, you guys, because time is money. And if I have to spend an extra 20 minutes sweater shaving or stain treating or cleaning out a handbag, that's time. So I try to evaluate each item when I'm at the bins and go, okay, do I want to pick up this Coach handbag? It's pre-owned. I think I can probably get $40 to $50 based on the style. But it needs like an interior clean. It needs to be polished. I have to spend $5 on it. Is that worth my time? That's a great question to ask ourselves as resellers, in my opinion. Is this worth my time? I make exceptions if it's an item I truly love and I can't wait to spend time with it, but I do a lot less. The extent of my cleaning is everything from the bins either gets steamed to sanitize it with my extremely hot steamer, or it gets washed. So I do that. I'll stain treat if an item has some value, like I can make some money on it. I'll use that combination that a lot of us use, which is Dawn dish liquid, baking soda, and hydrogen peroxide. I just mix those 3 ingredients. I don't have like a special ratio. I just mix it till it's like a paste, and I put that on for 24 hours and wash it out. Be careful if it's an item with natural dye, because sometimes the hydrogen peroxide can bleach it out. So I do a lot less than I used to, and it depends on the value of the item, how much time I'm willing to put into it. And I make exceptions if I just totally love something. Thank you guys so much for your questions and for being here. I'm going to try and get to as many of these as I can, but I don't want this to be a super duper looper long video. My videos are usually like an hour because I do the bins haul, clips from the bins, stuff that's sold. I just throw it all into one video these days. Question. This is from Karen R. 1653. Thank you for the nice compliments, Karen. If you have a listing with a moderate sell-through, how long do you wait to price drop? Such a good question. And I know on this channel I've got advanced resellers, people have been selling a long time, and total newbie beginner resellers. Sell-through rate means how long does it take to sell? How do you find the sell-through rate in an item? I'm going to say I have a Free People size large black Hawaiian print top. Okay, I'm going to search for that on eBay, and I'm going to look how many of them come up. Oh, 100 of them come up. And then I'm going to click to toggle to sold. Oh, wow. 200 of them sold. That means it has an amazing sell-through rate. There's only 100 listed and 200 have sold. Or it has a really bad sell-through rate. If there's 100 listed and only 2 have sold, it's like, that is not a good sell-through rate. It's going to take a long time for that to sell. I don't want to get too more detailed on that because this is not what that video is about. But I do not have a set system for dropping prices. Let me know in the comments, do you? I think it's smart. Like, some people have a system. Oh, this item's been listed 6 months, I'm going to drop it 10%. If it's been listed 9 months, I'm going to drop it 20%. And they go on until the lowest they're willing to take for the item. And then some people will even donate the item after that. I do not do that. I just trust things are going to sell when they're going to sell. And I just keep on listing. My energy is always on listing. Getting my 10 items a day up, minimum. The more I list, the more I sell. That's my personal experience. That's why some of these sellers you see on YouTube that have a few employees and they're listing 50 items a day, they're selling items that you and I might not be able to sell. Like, I have that same top. Why isn't it selling for me for that much? Well, they get way more traffic to their store than I do because they list more and they do it consistently. eBay's going to give them the most traffic, meaning they are going to show customers that other seller, that big seller, they're going to show them their item before they're going to show mine for the most part. So there's that. I started blabbing and then I can't remember what the original question was. So that's not surprising, is it, friends? I don't have a consistent system for dropping prices. What I do is send best offer. If someone is watching my item on eBay or liking it, I'm very aggressive sending out offers, so that's a way I discount things. Every year or so I go through my whole closet. Man, is that work. My whole eBay store and closet, all my bins, and I donate things that I just think I never should have listed in the first place because they don't have any value and no one wants it. Maybe I got it in a mystery box, or maybe I got it free. Bad idea. Or for some reason, some things just don't sell. What I'll do is delete the listing, put the item back in my photo pile, and start all the way over. But I don't drop prices. I think it's probably a good idea. Do you guys do that? Let me know. Living on a dollar. Oh, on a doll hair. Living on a doll hair is a fellow boho. Does Vendo cost money? I thought about List Perfectly, but it's pretty expensive. Vendo and List Perfectly are cross-listing software. If you're new, what does that mean? It means I can list my item on eBay and then cross-list it over to Poshmark in just a few minutes using Vendo. Prime Lister is another one that I've used. I can't speak on List Perfectly. I've never tried it. I love Prime Lister. I love Vendo. They cost me about $30 a month, and I think it's worth it because I want to list things on Poshmark in like 30 seconds. I don't think that is expensive, $30 a month, but it depends what plan you have. It can be as low as $19.99 or much higher, depending on what plan you have and what features you sign up for. But think about it. Over a whole course of a month, I'm going to make more than $30 if I cross-list over to Poshmark. I might make $500 or $700 cross-posting some stuff to Poshmark. So it's worth that $30 in my opinion, but that's something everyone has to decide for themselves based on their unique business. I hope this isn't boring. Annalisa says, congratulations. My question to you is, will you ever do a Whatnot Live? I did Whatnot Lives. I was on there, not in the very beginning, but in the beginning, early days, and I was doing like 2 a week. I loved it. It was so fun. I made good money because I could sell, 30, 50 items in one show that was like an hour or two. But what happened that a lot of us experienced is it just slowed down. Like everyone was over there, hyped up, all excited, buying stuff, and then it just kind of slowed down. Whatnot has reached out to me about doing another kind of a sponsored Whatnot Live, so I am considering that. I love Whatnot. It's so fun. I love the sellers. I love the community. I love the app. I just can't do everything. I want to do everything. I try, trust me, but I can't. So I have to kind of pick and choose. I'm like, I can't do 10 items listing every day and Whatnot. Whatnot's a lot of work. You have to set everything up ahead for the show, but I might do another one, and I love Whatnot. Tara Thrifts has a lovely comment and then says, it's a lot of questions in here, so let's just see what I can do. What are your financial goals for your reselling business? I answered that a little bit, which is like last year I made the most I've ever made. I don't know if I'll be able to keep up that pace in 2025, but I definitely proved to myself that I can do it. You mentioned you're a full-time psychotherapist, which most people think of as a fairly lucrative career. So are you saving reselling income for your retirement, college for your son, offsetting the cost of living in California, which we all know is expensive? I love this. I love this question. I call myself a full-time psychotherapist. That's what I have my master's degree in clinical psychology. I got licensed as a family therapist. That is what I consider my career. However, I've made a choice the last, since my son Torvald, who's going to be 13 this summer, okay? Some of you have been following me for a few years, and you saw him when he was 10. So anyway, he's grown up a lot. I left a full-time job as a psychotherapist with hospice. I worked mostly with kids, and I did that, full-time. And then when my son went to kindergarten, I was like, I don't want a regular, 40-hour-a-week job. I want more flexibility so I can pick him up after school and volunteer in the classroom and all that stuff. So I went into private practice. And I realized I've just made a choice as a therapist that I don't want to be what I call a conveyor belt therapist, just saying client, client, client. I have a client in 20 minutes, so I better speed this thing up. But anyway, that's just a choice I made. I get very involved with my families. I have some very challenging cases. I work a lot with kids and teens, so you can imagine. So I don't see clients 5 days a week all day. I do not. So reselling is a perfect complement. I work from home for both gigs. My therapy work is extremely fulfilling and also very challenging, kind of energetically, emotionally. So I offset with working as a reseller. Like I see a client, it's a really hard session. That afternoon, I get to go photograph my Free People dresses. Like it's just a really great combination. So yes, I could probably support myself if I was full-time with either eBay, reselling, or therapy, but I choose to combine them because that's what's most satisfying for me. Great questions. You guys are so great. I love you. Appreciate you. Laura _BBSD says, I'm wondering about how much one can expect to earn reselling clothing like you do, mainly sourced from Goodwill, if working part-time. I realize this is a moving target, so please feel free to give a range. So I did share that I made $50,000 in sales. So I think that's doable because I consider myself part-time and I do that listing 10 items a day. But it's hard to give an exact number because it depends on so many factors. Like I live in Northern California. It's extremely expensive here. Thrift stores are expensive. Finally, my bin's open so I can shop from there so I can keep my cost of goods low, but it's still $3.49 a pound, which is the most expensive Goodwill in the country that I'm aware of. But I find great brands and great items. Maybe you live somewhere where all you can find is mall brands, so you're not going to have $40, $50 sales. You're going to have $10, $12, and you'll need to do a lot more quantity to make more money, so that's a lot more work. So it really does depend on how many items you're going to list a day. The more you list, the more you'll sell. The quality of your items, so how much you can make on each item. You know, the amount of time you have to put into it. But I think what I'm doing seems pretty reasonable as a part-timer, so I think that's, give or take, is probably achievable for anybody. I really do believe consistency in listing all the time is key. Janet Bush says, personal question, tell us a bit about your childhood, if you care to. Hope I'm not being nosy. I love nosy. I'm the nosiest nosy. I love hearing everyone's stories. Am I going to share my whole childhood sob story here on YouTube? No, probably not, but I will. I'm happy to share that I grew up on the East Coast in a small town on the water north of Boston, Massachusetts. I grew up mainly with my mom as a single mom. I saw my dad kind of on and off for various reasons. I'm one of 6 children. I'm in the middle. Big surprise, I'm a therapist, right? You know, it was challenging. Single mom, 6 kids, not a lot of money. So we definitely had our challenges. My mom is extremely loving. You guys have met her on the channel, Grateful but Bad. I haven't done a video with her in a while. I probably should. And then when I was, I went through high school and everything, and I did some college, went to massage school, did some different things, got yoga certified and stuff like that. Then I moved out to California by myself. I did a road trip when I was like 22, drove all around the country by myself. I highly recommend that if you live in the States, to just take a road trip around this gorgeous country because it is so diverse. I mean, I grew up in New England, and then I was like in Arizona with the Red Rock, and Utah and Colorado with the mountains. It was just mind-blowing for me. And I ended up at the Esalen Institute in Big Sur, California, studying psychology, holistic living, dance, yoga, healthy eating, and I lived there for like 2 years. Anyway, so that's how I ended up in California. I've been here since then, so I think I've finally hit the point where I've lived longer in California than my hometown in Massachusetts. I do fly back and forth to see my family. I was a very bossy little kid, Janet, and Torvald was kind of like that too. So, all right, guys, you have listened to me go on and on about all this stuff. There's so many questions here. I hope I answered some of them. I just want to say again how much I appreciate you subscribing and liking the videos and supporting me on this journey. I can't wait to see you in my next video, which is probably going to be a Goodwill Outlet Bins thrift haul. So I'll see you there. Bye. I think this might be, oops, I didn't put my auto face on, and I think this is like a little too close up. Like no one wants to look at me that close up. Let's try this. Is that all? There we go. That might be better. Here we go. Okay, now I remember. I'm back. And wash it and try and get the item out. Try and get the item out now.